evening, Cape May County. I'm Layla Freeman. We have a great show for you tonight on the topic of drug abuse. Let's take it over to Colton to see how it can not only affect the user's life, but the lives of many others around.
Good evening, Cape May County. I'm Colton Van Cleve. Tonight I sit down with Lieutenant Landis and Detective Mitchell, where we'll be discussing the importance of how we as a community can help the drug abuse problem for good. But first, Laura Kimmy's very own Hannah Avery wrote about her own personal experience at home when it came to the topic of drug abuse.
The deepest pain lies within your soul, tormenting and knocking at your mind, saying, "Let me go." Your arms are bruised and your face is cracked. It's been about an hour since you had your last. What you had before wasn't enough, so you went in again and it was such a rush. The rush slowed down and now you're mad. Beating on mommy, I thought you were my dad. Family is supposed to love and conquer all, but instead you had a different plan, and that was to do some more drugs. You said you would stop. You said you promised. In and out of jail, you don't even know what home is. It only got worse as the temptation progressed. It led you to do horrible things and many arrests. You left mommy all alone, 34, 2 kids and no home. You sold our dog, you sold our car. You only cared about yourself, so please tell me, where is your heart? You beat my brother, whom is not your blood. You reacted in anger and hated all of us. You say you regret what you did and it won't happen again, but as soon as your phone rang, you ran out the door, begging your dope man for more and more. Do you not see the pain that is in my eyes? No, I guess not. I'm not that surprised. Who knew your own blood could be so harsh and cold? Imagine feeling like a burden and not wanting to go home. I guess the new wave is being cool and misbehave. You're a grown man in child's play doing gross things that I dare to say. Cheating is now accepted, and hurting my mom you never neglected. Treating family with inferiority. Drugs are now your main authority, and that's sad because you have 2 daughters that should be your priority. Life is all about the choices you make. You threw everything you loved away and made a big mistake. Caught up with the violence, the gangs, and the drugs. Your homeboys tell you, now you're one of us. So gullible, so naive. Now you're in front of the jury facing 2nd murder degree. And not only that, but theft and robbery. Sentenced 38 years in prison, no probation. Now you're stuck in a cell, you're in isolation. You send me letters every chance you get. I ignore them all because I'll never forget. Drugs ruled your life and it took you out of mine. You made that decision yourself, now do your time. It's so funny now that you're clean. You take the time and effort to show me who my father was supposed to be. An honest man whose intentions are so pure, but that's a lie because you already rotted to your core. And it breaks my heart that my mom had to play both roles. She is my rock, my whole heart, and my soul. I thank God every day that he didn't take my mom away. Drugs are horrible. Proceed with caution or stay away.
Wow. Truly inspiring and helpful for sure. I am joined now on the desk with Lieutenant Landis and Detective Mitchell. How are you guys doing tonight?
Good, how are you?
Good. I feel like whenever we are talking about this topic of drug abuse, we're always going in circles. When do we finally say enough is enough? So what I ask you guys tonight, what can we as a community do to help stop drug abuse for good?
Well, first of all, education is very important, and that's what Lieutenant Landis and we go to different schools in the community. We also go to churches and go to different community events, and we educate the community on pills to heroin, and also that way the parents can get warning signs of how they can tell if their children are getting involved with drugs or are using drugs or if their friends are using drugs. And they also can learn what not to do as a parent and what to do as a parent and how to get involved in your child's life. It's also important as a parent to talk to your child about it. Talk to them why it's not cool and why it's not okay to say yes, just maybe because their friends are doing it or other family members are doing it.
So it starts with leadership, of course, with the children or the students in general to actually say no, enough's enough, and I want to stop. You know, maybe does it involve too with maybe like friends? Like if you see like a friend using it, maybe would that student say like no as a friend, or is it like peer pressure kind of thing what you're talking about?
Well, to add on to what Detective Mitchell said, it's extremely important that we're getting this word out because education is the one main key to this whole component of trying to stop this epidemic. But what people need to understand is that we go out and we give these presentations and we give the community the information and the tools that they can use, but we then rely on you, the students, the families, the churches, to continue to spread that word because we can only get to so many people. So we need your help just as much as we're giving our help to you, we need you to keep spreading this word to help your friends and family members, either one, not get mixed up into this epidemic, or if they already are, to help them guide them back on the right path.
Absolutely. It takes everybody.
And not only do we go out in the public and do it, but it's also on our website. I know parents work full-time and don't have the time to maybe come to one of our presentations when we do it in the public or at the schools. So it is on our website for the Cape May County Prosecutor's Office, and they can go online and they can view it right there in their home and talk to their children that way as well.
Of course.
And to quickly add on that, I don't want to take anything away, but that is also on our website as a credit to Lower Township School System through the Richard Titleman School helped us film that to put it on our website. So we also thank them for helping us do that.
That is awesome. And obviously, around here in Cape May County, we have a huge heroin problem, and maybe in places like West Virginia, you see a prescription drug problem. But how often do you see a prescription drug problem in cases you see around here in Cape May County?
Well, it's a growing epidemic across the country, not only in Cape May County, which we do have a problem. We are trying our best to combat it, but it is a growing epidemic and problem, and it starts now with those prescription narcotics. And the reason why that is because of the readiness and the availability of them. Mostly everybody in this community, across the state and in this country, have some type of form of medicine in their cabinets at home. And what that does is it now exposes people also in the house that aren't supposed to be using it to that medicine. And then under peer pressure, some kids, under already existing addictions, people have an opportunity now to go into those medicine cabinets and take some of those pills out and then use them when they weren't supposed to be used for them. With that, we're trying to combat that with certain programs, one being it's run by the Drug Enforcement Administration, and it's called Operation Take Back. That allows people to get this medicine from their house and get rid of it the proper way. We can dispose of it for you. The next one is on April 29th of this year, 2017. Boxes will be placed at every police department in this county across the state. You can walk in, no questions asked, bring whatever medications you want.
Right.
Drop it in, and we'll dispose of it for you.
Now, can these prescription drugs lead to a more serious problem as far as getting into heroin or crack or whatever it may be, whatever the drug may be?
Absolutely. That is, we're finding now is prescription medication is becoming a jump-off point for a lot of younger users becoming addicted, and even older. And the issue with that is they're starting off taking these, they release these medicines into your body on a time release system. However, once you start taking these medications, they only give you so much of the medicine at a time, and your body then becomes reliant on those medicines, and it wants more at a quicker, faster pace.
That's
and the only way to do that, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. The only way to do that is to go after a quicker, more faster high. And then we see people then transitioning from oxycodone and Percocet to heroin, which is similar in nature. The only difference I can tell you is, and it's scary, is those two drugs are exactly the same, except one, the pills that were prescribed by a doctor were made in a certified laboratory by chemists, versus the heroin, which was produced in a factory or a garage by drug distributors illegally, and mixing it with different components that could potentially kill you or harm you.
Exactly, and that, I've always heard about with heroin, it's like playing Russian roulette. It's a 50-50 chance of either dying it right when you shoot it up, or you're living and you wait for the next high. But that kind of led to my next question, where it was how often, obviously once it starts young, when users buy drugs, is it mixed in with other substances that you really wouldn't know? And that happens a lot in what you guys see?
You never know what a dealer is going to mix into their drug.
Of course.
Dealers always want to make more money, and that's what they're out there to do. They're out there to make their dollar, to make their money. So what happens is they end up mixing anything that they have laying around to make more product, and then that gets them more money. And so you never know as a user what could be in the heroin. It could be fentanyl. It could be anything else just to make the drug stronger. So what happens is now this dealer is dealing a drug that has stuff mixed into it, users start overdosing and dying, now other users are going to go look for that product, go look for that specific product from that dealer, just because people are overdosing. And with with heroin,
yeah.
it's a lot cheaper than pills. So people are going to pay an arm and a leg for, like they would for pills. It's a lot cheaper per bag for heroin, and that's another reason why people will switch from pills to heroin.
Because it's obviously a lot cheaper.
And unfortunately, as Detective Mitchell said, the nature of this game of drug dealing is profit. And drug dealers are going to do whatever they can to make a profit. And for them, the easiest profit is to add something into their drug that is very potent, that someone unknowingly is going to ingest and die, is going to make them more money. Because the mental state that you're in when you're using these drugs is you're not thinking right and wrong. You're just thinking, I want to get high the quickest, fastest way with the strongest product. And they're going to seek that product out, even though their friends may have just died from it.
Of course. And I'll bring it back to, I guess, the teenager realm of things. And if they, like, let's say hypothetically, if you're at a party and, you're drunk and your friend's drunk and your friend needs medical attention and you're drinking and you need to call, the police or whatever, obviously that person drinking who called the police would not get in trouble. Would the same thing happen with drugs? If your friend was in a serious situation and maybe you were high on drugs and so was the other person?
Yes, it's called the Good Samaritan Law.
Okay.
So if you're at a party, you're using drugs, and somebody starts to overdose or starts acting funny, that person needs to call 911 right away. And the person that calls 911, the victim, has a full immunity from any type of drug charges when drugs are there or on the person. And that was created, that way lives are saved. A lot of times people are scared to call 911 when somebody is overdosing in fear of them getting in trouble or in fear of them getting charged with a crime. So this law was created, and full immunity for the person that calls and for the victim, just to save lives. So people need to understand, if they want to save their friends' lives, that's what needs to be done.
That is definitely good for sure.
Yeah. And a lot of people consider this, I use the term a get out of jail free card. We don't want people to look at it like that. The public, we don't want you to look at it like that. We want you to look at it as it's a life-saving effort. And what I tell everybody is if you disagree with this and you think that, just because they're calling and they should not be arrested for potentially, if there was a bag of drugs there, always remember that the person laying on the floor could be your child, could be your mom, or your dad.
Obviously,
so would you want someone to leave them, or would you want someone to stay and get them the help they need?
Obviously, I don't condone, using any sort of drugs whatsoever, but definitely that's a good law that was in place because, that's a life right there that is in harm's way of dying, and definitely that's for sure. You need to call any kind of medical help for that. If a person needs to get any sort of drug addiction help, where could they go?
Okay, in the county we have CAPE Counseling, we have Family Matters, and CAPE Assist. These are 3 organizations that have the opportunity to help somebody who might need help with drug addiction. But the first step is to talk to a family member, have encouragement from your family, from your friends, because you always want to have that support system behind you. You're not going to get something done by yourself, and you want everybody to be behind you, your friends, and get you going to these outlets. That way you can overcome drug addiction.
Of course.
Yes. Always encouragement is the biggest key. Keep encouraging them to do the right thing and to get help for themselves. And like Detective Mitchell said, we have a lot of great organizations within the county: CAPE Assist, CAPE Counseling, Family Matters, Jewish Family Services. All of these places you can go to or you can call them. Regardless if you have insurance or if you don't have insurance, they'll work with you. They will guide you in the right direction to help you turn your life around before it's too late.
There's definitely a lot of help in the community for sure in that aspect. Now obviously now if we want to focus on the children, are children of a user in a home in a bad situation affected by the drugs?
Absolutely, and that's for any age group, whether it's a teenager, an infant, and even between those ages. The child is always going to have a negative lifestyle from the parents. you're setting that negative example for your children when you're using it
In
at
that case,
home.
are they prone to use it maybe in the future?
They can learn from their parents' behavior, absolutely. And also what we'll see with especially toddlers or the younger children is parents will leave drugs around or drugs or pills around readily available for these children to ingest and to reach because they don't know what they're getting into. So they'll learn from their parents' behavior and monkey see, monkey do, and they'll think it's okay because their parents are doing it.
And it keeps going down the line. That's where we need to find basically.
Children, I'm sorry.
No, absolutely, go ahead.
Children mimic the people that they look up to. So what they see, they will do. And it comes down to the simplest of things. I was just discussing with someone earlier that I myself watch Action News. My son, who's 8 years old, sees me watch Action News, so he watches Action News. So you see, if you're seeing someone do something that you love, you're going to do it. So if they see someone ingesting drugs or trying to experiment with drugs, they're going to try the same thing at some point. It's going to be in their memory, and that's why it's important to not to have it.
So why
in the
not set a
house.
good example? Maybe pick up golf or something.
Absolutely.
Or any sort of sport, for sure. Well, thank you guys very much for coming on tonight, and definitely full support for everything that you guys do.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're going to send it over to Layla in the back desk right now.
Thanks, Colton. Finally, we take a look at how easy it is to simply not notice the signs of a drug abuse.
Wise men say only fools rush in, but I can't help falling in love with you. Oh, shall I stay? Would it be a
It's time to end drug abuse for good. A community united can accomplish anything. That's all the time we have for you tonight. Have a great night, Cape May County.